Welcome everybody. This is Anya De Cunto from Eurocities. So we are one of the two networks that is organizing this webinar in cooperation with the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. So Eurocities is the network of big European cities, and we have a working group focusing on food, and this is part of our activity. Just a little bit of internal house rules. As you might have seen, all of you are muted. This is in order not to have background noise in the recording of our webinar. If you have questions, you are very welcome to write them using the chat. You find the symbol for the chat on your left bottom side of the screen. As you might have seen, some people are already saying hello and welcome. And we are going to have a question and answer session after each presentation. And both the presentation and the recording of the video will be sent to all participants in the next days. Maximum Monday morning, it will be online also on the Eurocities website. So if you have missed a piece or you want to show it to other colleagues, don't worry, it will be available. So I now leave the word to Natalia to explain the agenda of the webinar.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Very nice to welcome you on this third webinar. So I work for the City of Warsaw. I'm also the Vice Chair of the Eurocities Working Group Food. So now I will tell you a few words about how we will spend the next hour and 15 minutes, because that's the duration of our webinar today. So first I'll make a little introduction, then we will have two case studies presented by the city of Oostende and then of Ljubljana. And in the end, we'll have a little conclusion. In between, as Anya just said, you are very welcome to ask questions and comment on the presentation you've just heard. So to begin with, and the next slide then, I'd like to say a few words about the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, because that's how it all began, and the working group food too. So during the Milan Expo in 2015, which took place under the leitmotif of Feed the Planet, Energy for Life, the mayor of Milan launched an international protocol because, she noticed that there was an interest at the urban level from different cities around the world to have an integrated approach to food systems. So now the pact has 187 signatory cities. And that's how also the working group food of Eurocities have seen the daylight, because responding to a regionalization process of this MUFPP, we have created, so the working group food was created. And it gathers today more or less like 60 cities members, and it's one of the many working groups that the Eurocities network has, because the Eurocities network tackles different topics which are of interest for cities like culture, energy, etc., etc. So looking at what we do at the working group food, well, we share knowledge. First, so through meetings and webinars like the one you're participating in. We also have European joint projects, and we also conduct some European advocacy actions. So, and the last meeting we had, so that would be the slide with the meeting in Ghent, was last week in Belgium. And as food is the most impactful human habit on the environment, we spoke about the climate impact of local food systems mainly. And so we had the occasion to make study visits on place, and we went even on site to see a very interesting social and sustainable agriculture project, which also is somehow linked to today's topic of food supply and distribution. And this was, so we went on site to see a land which the city made available for farmers to make a project of community-supported agriculture. So that was one of the points of the agenda we had on place. We also spoke about the work which is done internationally on food, about what other cities do, and we have seen other projects, so it was a very enriching time and very inspiring. So that's one of the examples of what we do. Regarding today's topic, so food supply and distribution, so here is, I've put a slide with a definition from the Food and Agriculture Organization that defines quite clearly and in a concise way what is it all about. So it is a very complex combinations of different activities, functions and relations, so that enable city to meet their food requirements. And for cities it is a huge challenge to tackle this issue, and often what cities see as a way of action here regarding this part of the food chain, while they try to respond to this issue by reducing, for example, the number of intermediaries and facilitate access to seasonal and locally grown food. So that's one of the solutions that are trying to be implemented within cities. And of course, it relates to very different aspects, because it relates to food security, to impact on health, on the environment with greenhouse gases emissions. So it is a very, very broad topic, which makes it a very fundamental part of the food system. So on the next slide, I wanted to show you that this is, of course, this topic is tackled in the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, and the pact is also made of a framework, of an action framework, where you have 6 different sections, thematic sections, for example, food waste or food production and so on, and one of them is food supply and distribution. And within last year, basically, jointly with the FAO, the MUFPP has developed a monitoring framework on request of different cities that wanted to have concrete, measurable indicators to be able to implement the pact and to assess the progress they are making or they could make. So I've put the link down. So I warmly invite you to look and to look at this indicator, and because it is a very concrete way of addressing the issue of food supply and distribution. So on the next slide, I wanted to talk about the Milan Pact Awards. So this is another activity of the MUFPP. So these awards are a way of showing and fostering experiences, exchange and learning between cities. So there are 2 categories, two awards. There is a monetary prize, and there are special mentions. And here again, the special mentions are divided into 6 categories along the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact sections. So one of them is obviously food supply and distribution. So what we have noticed within the last editions, so this year the 4th edition was ongoing, and the submission deadline has just closed this Monday. So we have for now the data for the last 3 editions, and what we have noticed is that in this category we have the lowest rate of submission per year and in the total. So it means that out of 157 practices, we had only 18 which were dedicated to this food supply and distribution aspect. And also we had only 5 cities which were submitting to this category. So the cities that got a special mention in this category were Toronto in 2016. And then we had Ljubljana in Slovenia, which will be presenting its activities today, which got the special mention in 2017. Then we had Seoul last year in South Korea, who won also the special mention. And what we have noticed also is that it is quite difficult for the municipalities to address this food logistic issue, mainly because big retail logistic hubs that supply the city are usually outside the municipality's outskirts, so they fall under another legislation. So that's one of the difficulties. And also we have noticed kind of immaturity of food policies, particularly on this issue. And the last thing also was the high resistance of the private sector to change the established logic. So as we see, there are a lot of challenges regarding this topic. That's why we're very happy to present you today two concrete case studies, and we are very curious to see how the two cities have decided to address this food supply and distribution aspects given their local context. So now I would like to invite the city of Oostende to present its own case study.
While Eli is uploading his presentation, we already have a question about the data collection and in what formats do cities submit it. Natalia, do you want to answer this?
So I'm not sure I'm quite relevant for this answer, as it's our colleagues from Milan who have the precise information on this. So we can put the information on the presentation later on.
Yeah, just for Ryan, there is a website page on the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact website. And if you are interested, or cities that are interested in applying, there is still a few days left for this year. So yeah, but definitely we can put you in contact with the right people to answer the details of this question. And now I'll leave the word to Eli. Eli? Oh, no. No. We can't hear you. Can't hear you now.
And now, is it better?
Yeah,
can
now
you
it's
hear
perfect.
Me now?
Yeah, but you
can
need
you
to
see? Okay. And can you see my presentation?
Not yet. If you can reshare it.
Okay.
It's always like this for the webinar. We did technical check, but always last minute issue. Perfect.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for the invitation to the webinar. We were asked to tell the story about the Gardens of Stena, which is a food park. It's actually the first real food park in Flanders. Of course, we know bigger food parks like you have in Barcelona or in Milan or even in Köln, which is about hectares and hectares. Here in Oostende, we have a new park where we have recreation, agriculture, and water retention comes actually together, and nature development. It's on 37 hectares, and this weekend we had the inauguration because we finished the first part of the Gardens of Stena, which is and about we worked on 16 hectares till now. The Gardens of Stena are made possible by support of the Flemish government and by the Pilootproject en Productief Landschap, and also by Interreg Escape project, the Escape project, which is about shaping climate adaptive places. Before I come really to the park and the story of the park, I think it's interesting to know something more about Ostend. We're a small city at the sea. We are about 70,000 people, and we live on a very small surface. Ostend is about 17 square kilometers. So that means to make the city very livable, green areas are very, very important. And the Gardens of Stena, as you see here in the circle, is lying on the urban fringe in the southwest part of the city. Ostende is an interesting city also because it has, of course, it's at the seaside, but also during the summer we can evolve to about 200,000 people, which makes it certainly a completely different city. And so a food park can also be of a sort of touristical interest. That's the aerial view on the Gardens of Stena. It's a bit a typical Flemish context. Here you have commercial properties. I don't know if you all can see the cursor. So here on the left side you see the commercial properties. Here you have a school, primary and secondary school, about 800 pupils there. Then here you have an old village, Stena, a polder village, and here you have an open landscape. If you look to the whole area, which is about 35 hectares, you see that water is quite an important thing. Here you see a creek, which is actually one of the backbones of the whole area. We realized a food park. The idea came in 2013. Then we made a master plan of the urban fringe of the city, of the green belt. As I said, Ostend is a very compact city, and we discovered actually 15 landscapes just around the city, and we did an international contest on what sort of green areas we need in connection with the city in the 21st century. The project, the European project in which this frames, was called 21st Century Parks. And the international contest came out by a practice of Georges Descombes, a Swiss landscape architect who worked together with Bart van Hassen from an office here in Belgium, Tractebel. And so each of the areas was looked how to connect with the urban weave, but also to make a new program if necessary. And here for the Gardens of Stena, we really choose the card of making a food park there. So this is the map of the green belt of Ostend, and as you can see, there are quite completely different landscape sorts. Here you see more an orthogonal pattern. Here you see more these organic forms here as well. And so we, in the beginning, we made just a cycle path which connected all the green areas. So suddenly the green belt of Ostend is getting on the mental map of the people who are visiting Ostend, but also on the people of Ostend themselves, because the people from Ostend know very good the sea, but they don't know the hinterland. And so I think still from 2013 till now we succeeded in this. The hinterland is more and more known, and now since very shortly also the food park gets in the view as we just finished the first phase. As I said, it's about recreation, nature development, and agriculture. And if you're talking about nature and sustainability, water retention is a very important thing. So that's also the reason that in the master plan we were thinking of doing a lot of excavations to have water retention for, as we know all with the climate change, we will have much more water in a shorter period. And so it's necessary that we can retain quite a lot of water in the hinterland. So this is from the rooftop of the school. That's how the Gardens of Stena looked like. Now it looks already a little bit different. I'll show you some pictures later. So you have an open landscape, which is quite rare in Flanders because we have quite a lot of urban sprawl. And so you have quite connected to a city which is dense, an open landscape where the Gardens of Stena are situated. If you look from the rooftop to the other side, you see really the dense weave of the city of Oostende. When we were designing it, we had quite a lot of questions because you always need a balance. You need a balance between recreation, agriculture, nature, water retention, also urban dwelling, and also about experience the landscape. So, as I said, with the Pilot Project and Productive Landscape and with the Interreg project, we could work together with a lot of experts, and that was really a very important thing. I think if you are developing or if you are developing food parks, or if you're working on the agricultural layer of your city, I think it's very important always to be aware that you're working on a public space, so that also it should be very well designed, and I think the quality of the public space is very important. Here we work together with a consortium of urban planners, landscape architects, and it was guided by several organizations like the City of Oostende, but also ILVO, Team Vlaams Bouwmeester, the province, and so on. And there were quite a lot of stakeholders who, during the whole process, always gave positive or negative critic to make a good design. How did it end? We had a master plan which actually showed 4 parts in the Gardens of Stena. The first part was the polder garden. So that's the garden where you have the piece of the Gardens of Stena where you have the most of, which is a lot of life there, because we have food and cycle paths in that part. It's very close, very connected to the village of Stena. We have our CSA project, Community Supported Agriculture. Nowadays we have about 200 families who come there weekly to harvest their vegetables, which is planted by by Peter, our farmer. We have the Samentuin, which is a project. Oostende has which is quite a pity, a bigger poverty rate than other cities and bigger cities in Belgium. And so we have also a social program, which is very important, where we have some social workers who work together with people, and the harvest comes back to the organization who do the supply actually of the things which were harvested there. And there's also a bigger orchard in the Poldertuin. So the Poldertuin exists of the CSA project, the Samentuin, which means gardening together, and of the orchard. The central piece of the Gardens of Stena is where you have cattle. We have cows and sheep there. It's quite the biggest part. If you look back to the maps in the 18th century, you see that it's almost a landscape which is untouched. It's there where you also have the creeks, and in winter time, which is a quite wetland. But in summer times, it's ideal for cattle, and it's a food park. That means that we want to show as much as possible different sorts of agriculture. So it's not only the vegetables, but also some cattle. And you just can walk through the different meadows have a look, and it's also from the recreational side is quite important. Then we have the third piece, which isn't finished yet. We start with the works in July. This is what we call the crops test plots. Actually, test plots is perhaps the best translation, and it's where we try to show new crops, crops which were in the past not so common, and or now more and more regular, like quinoa or whatever. Perhaps it's not going to be quinoa, but we would try to work together with specialists in this agricultural piece and this agricultural stuff to make the choice what we are going to show, what we are going to grow there and to harvest, and of course everything should be distributed very locally. So it's also everything in the Gardens of Stena is a story about short chain. And then we have the food platform. The idea is that there we have a sort of promenade, sort of a quay along the Gardens of Stena, which is a bit higher, where you have a site on the whole food park, and also there we will make a vista, a tower of about 20 meters high. This will be installed next year in the second part of next year, and there we will have a site on the Gardens of Stena on the 35 hectares, which is very important to do your walk through the park and to show actually all the parts, everything you are, everything which is happening there in this new city park. And we call it a new sort of city park, a 21st century city park. So this is a view on the map again, where you see the different parts. Here you have the boulder garden, more in the north. The central thing is the water meadow in the center. Here you have the test plots, and this is the quay, actually the promenade, which is also a cycle path just along at the backyard of the commercial properties. This is the thing we have realized. So we don't have anything for the moment. The promenade cycle path isn't made yet. We did this on this 16 hectares is finished, as I said, with the inauguration last Saturday, and test plots will be realized from the beginning of June. I can't tell you quite a lot about the distribution till now, because this is just finished. We have, of course, our 180 families harvesting there weekly. We also have a market during the summertime, or it starts actually in April, with products which are harvested there or from local farmers, which is also there in the neighborhood that we organize this market. But in the future we want to develop it. This is really the first steps we made by just having the right infrastructure. But the second step is, of course, that we want to develop it and to move the whole food system more to the low carbon circular future, and this will have to do with some work we will do in with the help of another European project, the Horizon 2020 project, which is called Food Shift 2030, where we have quite a lot of work to do on this transport and how we get to the city center. We have an enormous advantage that we have a very compact city, so this won't be that difficult, but of course this has to be a very low carbon future for the city and a very low carbon solution that we are thinking of. I think if you want a project which is supported by the people, in this case of Oostende, and also we also work a little bit on a level which is higher than just a local level. You have to do a lot of communication. So from the very first ideas, which was in 2014, we actually had city dialogues, we call it, where we had talks with people who live in the surroundings, people who own ground on the gardens of Stena, people who use ground which was property of the city, and everybody was involved. The first thing was, we want to make a food park. What do you think about it? What's your input? And then when we had the first sketches, we went back to the people. We said, these are the first ideas. What do you think? Do we have to change something? Do we have to add something? And then when we had a final design, we had what we call an info-faced sort of info moment where we actually introduced the plans. These are a few images of the city dialogues, and here when the plan was finished, which was presented by our aldermen, we had a lot of participative meetings with a lot of stakeholders. This is one of the pictures during these meetings. And we also had Atelier de Stad, where we worked together with young professionals, architects, landscape architects, urban planners, and also artists. Yeah, hello.
And sorry to interrupt you, can you reshare? Because now everything is black, so we can't see you anymore, the presentation anymore.
That's strange.
Yeah, just the last 2 slides. So sorry for this.
Okay, I should restart and perhaps I have a look.
Yeah.
Okay, just a second. Whoa.
Yes, we see the picture of Atelier de Stad.
You see it again, and you hear me as well.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, I continue. So Atelier de Stad was you heard the story probably about. So we work together with young professionals, architects, landscape architects, urban planners, and artists when we had the first idea about a food park, because it's a quite new idea, especially when recreation and nature development and agriculture comes together in one park on not an enormously big area. So it was very good that in the beginning we had some thoughts about it with young professionals, and then and all this information was drained actually into the later design. During the works that started already in 2017 and just finished a month ago, we had a lot of guided tours through the park where we explained what we were going to do, and we also had Dansant, which is a festival, an art festival from a local art organization, Kaap, Vrijstaat O, who actually did their performances in the gardens who were in development. These are a few pictures of the festival, and they also gave quite a lot of information about what we were planning to do there. So this was during the works. I see that my 20 minutes are almost over, so I just have a walk through the park now in a few images. This was during the works. As you see, our SCAPE project, European project, is about shaping climate adaptive places, and so it means that we have quite new canals that were made just to make to have more water retention on the site and to have a better water management. This is also during the works. These were some excavations we did, which is very important for the bird life there in the gardens of Stena. And this is the central pergola, which is about 20 meters, which is also an open air class for the adjacent school, but there's also a meeting point for people who want to meet in the park. And you see we have also some picnic tables there. So I think that the quality of the urban design of the public spaces is quite important. This is a platform with sight on the water meadow landscape, and it's also the place where you have the most nature life. And this is a view from the platform towards the school, so this is very well connected to the school. And it's also very important that you have from the very beginning quite a lot of young people who are using the park and who have an open air class there and who have lessons there, scientific lessons which are connected and very concrete, actually adapted to what they see there in the gardens of Stena. So of course, we have a lot of places where you can sit. The part we made through the park is also a functional part, which is a very important connection to the adjacent urban weave. And these are a few pictures which were taken on Saturday during the inauguration, where we also had some guided tours in the gardens. And this is the mayor and the aldermen who were all present actually at the inauguration. So I think the Garden of Stena have quite a very good future. These were the first steps, but as I said, we still have to develop it and to work quite well on the distribution and on the uploading of the whole site. And so with this collage of different pictures, I want to end the presentation.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Very interesting, and especially all the picture. We have already questions flocking in, so I will start with the first question from Federico from the city of Venice, that he asked whether the park has any economical incomes from buying and selling the agricultural products.
Yes, so the people who are involved in the CSA, they pay about €300 a year, and they have their vegetables. But apart from that, no, there is no really an economical revenue. But of course, this is a productive landscape. As I said, these are the first steps, and we should also think the farmers who are using the ground now use it for free. But we are really setting the first steps and are thinking how we can develop it, and the economical. It's a park. It's a new park for the city. But it's a strange park because it's also a productive landscape, and the productive the productive side of it has to be developed more. That's for sure, because we will always. It's not planted yet. We will also have an orchard. So what you harvest there should also be, in one way or another, be drained to the public.
Thank you very much. Another question from Lieta from the city of Ghent.
Lieta, hello. Yeah.
She asked, how did you select the farmers, and if you had to follow any criteria, like sustainability criteria, for example, for this selection?
Yes, in the master plan, it was very clear that you only can have per hectare 2 cows, 18 sheep, and so this is actually if you don't agree as a farmer, you don't get the ground. So this is one of the selections. So sustainability is actually the key word. So people who would like to involve should agree with this. So you have. We want to open it up more, but what we did know is that farmers who were already on the site and who had to move for 1 year or 2 years because of the works are back on the site. So as long as they agree with our framework, there's no problem at all. But of course, this shall evolve in the future. As I said, we will have an orchard and we will plant next year, and so this has also to be done by a farmer, and so we are looking to a farmer who will be able to work in this. But always been in the framework of the sustainable ideas, which were at the very beginning the backbone of the project.
Thank you very much. A couple more questions. So from Ryan Green, how prominently does the park feature as part of the overall city climate adaptation or flooding strategy? It's one step in the climate strategy, because we always think that the problems of the flooding will come from the sea, and of course this is this is for sure, and this is something where not the local government but the Flemish government is taking responsibility with building walls and making mobile walls actually, which can be placed when necessary. But there is also a bigger problem from the hinterland, because when it's high tide, it's not possible to drain your water to the sea. So then we, like the gardens of Stena and the whole hinterland is very important. So it fits really into the climate strategy. That's the water management. The water management of the hinterland is very important, and we did quite a lot of excavations there just to retain more water in the gardens of Stena. So it fits quite in the climate strategy of the city of Oostende. And then a last question from Diana Watts, that she asked, what are the energy sources for the food park?
Mm-hmm. Well, we already have a planning permission to build a few windmills, which will be which we will use the electricity. We will use the electricity from the windmills, of course, in the park, and it will also be windmills who will pump water from the neighborhood into the park. So with dry summers, that we will have enough water supply in the park. And as I said, this is part of the planning permission. We got permission, but we haven't realized it yet. So we're working now on a study on which sort of windmills you need, how we should connect it to the CSA project and things like that. So that's something which is in the pipeline.
Thank you very much. For everybody that has additional questions, you can still ask them later in our second question and answer session. Thank you very much, Eli. And now I would like to give the words to Maruška Marković from the city of Ljubljana. I will share her presentation. And I give to her the word.
Thank you, Anja. So we hear each other clearly?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Thank you, Eli. It was very interesting, and I think that our story is going a bit on a different way, but I think that in general we are building a bigger picture, or a big picture of the food supply in Europe. Yes, I'm coming from, hello everybody, thank you Anja for the opportunity to speak and to present our good practice. Till 2017 we upgraded it, and we are still working and making it better. So I'm really happy that this idea and this plan is still working. So short supply food chains in city of Ljubljana. As we can see on the next slide, it is actually all about the food self-sufficiency. So short food supply chains in Ljubljana is just a part of that. One, we are actually thinking about the reduction as all reduction of greenhouse gases, and of course of food safety. Ljubljana is very different, has a lot of green areas, as we see on the next slide. We have this urban area in the center, as you can see, that is the settlement Ljubljana, but the whole area is called the municipality of Ljubljana, as you can see, we have 275 square kilometers, and 1/3 it is covered by forest, so we have approximately 108 square kilometers of forest, and agricultural land about 107 square kilometers. So in all, the 2/3 of the entire area of the municipality is actually covered with rural areas, or as we call it, the green belt of the Ljubljana. So on the right side, as you can see, there is a hilly area where we have where farmers actually have the great opportunities to grow fruit. So we have especially these intensive orchards, mainly apples, but also cherries, plums, pears, and so on. And of course, there is a great possibility also to produce strawberries. So in the land near the urban area in the Ljubljana, we have these great opportunities for the vegetable production, and we say also on the left side, as you can see it, the dark green is the marshy area where we mainly have the cattle breeding. We are very happy that we still have 828 farms. There are small farms, there are family farms, and and some estimations we reach up to 30% of food self-sufficiency, the municipality of Ljubljana itself. Regarding to some research, we could reach up to 50% of self-sufficiency, but we would have to then activate every potential from the land to the people potential. But at the moment, we are where we are. As you can see on the next slide, it is very complex. Our work, it is divided between agriculture and rural development. So we are not talking just about the food production. We are, of course, talking about the rural development in the sense of how to keep people in rural areas in order to make them work, in order to make them productive. And on the level of the municipality, we have a special section for rural development that is working within and operating within the Department for Environmental Protection. So you can see we are actually combining those two things. We produced or created a strategy of the rural development of the municipality of Ljubljana for the programming period 2014 and 2020, and we are already preparing the next one for the next programming period. And of course, our first strategic goal that says increasing reconcilability of rural areas and creating comprehensive approach in marketing of rural goods and developing the food self-sufficiency in the city is going to stay there, and it's going to be more elaborated as we came to some conclusions that actually pointed us to the direction of development of some activities that will be necessary for the food self-sufficiency. As we see it, it is very important that it is long-term development. So we are talking about approximately about 25 or something like that years that municipality of Ljubljana is very structurally working on the rural development and on the agricultural development. And we are trying to preserve all the farms that are still operating. So even as you saw on the previous slide, even in the rural, in the urban areas, we still have some farms that are productive and they are producing the food for Ljubljana. We created the support system. It is very important that we have everything from the beginning to the end. So we created a support system where farmers can get subsidies or can get the refundable funds for their development, and this is something that is building and making the food production stronger. We are using what is very important, just the municipality money. So it is not, we are not depending on the project money. The municipality recognized the importance of the food self-sufficiency and is actually using their own money to develop it. And we are constantly present. It is actually very important to know people that you are working with, to know all the farmers, to know all the other stakeholders. So we are on the daily basis with the contact with them and talking and developing better solutions. And we are also the mediator between the experts and between farmers. So this is one of the most important tasks as well. When we were thinking how to what are the building stones, as you can see on the next slide, of the short food supply chains in Ljubljana, we actually really realized it is important that we have a healthy environment. I don't know if you know, but in 2016, Ljubljana was the European green capital of Europe. So we are doing a lot about making our environment healthy. We are doing a lot on the social level. So we are working with farmers. We are trying to support them on the economic level. So we are preparing some activities and also some platforms where they can sell their products. And of course, we are taking care of health and well-being of our citizens. And this is the main idea of the short food supply chains. Well, how are we doing that? So we are going to go slowly through the whole, I don't know, the milestones or the building stones of that, of our story. So definitely local marketplaces, as you all know, are the best thing to preserve or to develop. So we have one central marketplace, we have 3 small marketplaces, and we are very proud to state that now we have up to 7 occasional selling points in Ljubljana quarters, and we always prioritize the local production. So we want for local farmers to come to the marketplaces, to present themselves, and actually to communicate with the citizens. This is the biggest promotional place, if you can say so. The next one is actually we can talk about the door-to-door selling points. We are really stimulating all the farmers to develop their own stores at the farms, so the buyers can connect them to them directly. They can see where the food is produced. And one of the byproducts that is very, very good is called the path of goods, or something like pot dobrot in Slovenian language. So the path of goods around farms, where people from apartment buildings actually wanted to communicate with the farmers, but were afraid to do it. So the NGO started this the path of goods, and they meet together on the 3 times a year. They have this tourist guiding route around the farmers, and this is how the connection between the buyers and the farmers is produced. Then another one, really important as well, as you can see, is awareness raising and promotion. It is not enough just to produce. Farmers are very skillful. They have a lot of knowledge. They have a lot of they follow the ecological way of production, everything, but it is important for them also to sell that. In order to do that, we created some platforms for them in the center of the city, so where they can present themselves and they can make contacts with the citizens. So as you can see, we have a lot of activities during the whole year, but the most important are of course in autumn, where actually the products are the most abundant. One of those is Festival of Ljubljana Countryside. Then we have a special honey day, because we see the bees as a very important part of the self-sufficiency, especially food self-sufficiency. So we are connecting the whole food short supply chain system also with the honeys. Then we have the Apple Week in Ljubljana in September. We developed a special brand that is called Ljubljana Basket, when all the products from the Ljubljana farms and from the near surroundings are listed, and the people can go to that platform and actually select their own farmer. And of course the festival for third life period, it is very important for us, because as in all cities in Europe, the older people are actually, the number is increasing, and it is important for them also to get connected and to have their own supply chains, if you can say that. The next one, we as a nation, as you can see on the next slide, it is obvious that we are strongly and very connected to the landscape, to the farming. So even when the city was creating, people from surrounding came there, and they had this wish to have their own piece of land. This is why we have around 900 allotment gardens, where as a municipality we said that just the ecological gardening is permitted. So we, and in order not to just leave them without knowledge, we developed as well 3 educational gardens, where the lectures about gardening melliferous plants connected to the bees are presented. We have also strong emphasis on using the autochthonical species of vegetable and fruit. So this is something that we are introducing, and of course seasonal food, so that we actually really stay in the borders of local. Another part that is important are the short food supply chains. I would like to just introduce the idea how we from what angles actually we approach that idea. As you can see on the next slide, there are one of the most important target groups are school and kindergartens. And we managed to accept this rule on the municipality level that the 20% of the value of the food, this comes up to 80,000 euros per 2 years, could be purchased outside the Public Procurement Act. So they can approach local farmers, and they can actually put local food and fruits on the tables of the children, which is very important because when we teach our youngs, they will in future actually want the local, not the supermarket food. We managed to, from 2017, when we started that, and first actually then was the idea, and we launched that in 2018, we managed to come from the 6% to 12% of the locally produced food used for the preparation of their meals. And how did we have, of course, the goal We want to reach the 20%, the whole 20%, and we are on our good way. And we are doing this how? We have these educational programs for cooks and school food organizers. We realize that it is important that we go to those that are preparing the food. So we are educating them. We have this combination also with the presentation of local suppliers, that every activity that goes on, we always invite the local suppliers. And we combine that also with cooking courses. This cooking idea is actually buzzing all over the Europe, I think, in present time. And it is important also to present it to those that cook from day in and day out, and they still cook the things that they did when they came to the school. But now we are trying to pull them out and show them that there are some new possibilities, some new fresh ideas, and this is what we are doing. As you can see on the next slide, how we actually involved also the important cookers, or the cooks. This is Primož Dolničar on the next slide, as you see it on the picture. He has also From the Garden to the Table, the show on the 24 Kitchen channel, and he presented he used the locally produced vegetables, so from the gardens or from the farms around the farm that he is cooking. He produced the vegetable food that at the beginning the cook said, no, our children wouldn't eat that, but when they tried it, they said, this is very good, I think that I will try it. And 50%, as we checked, try that, and they are putting those food actually on the plates of the children. We can see some other photographs on the next slide, how everything goes on. So we meet in a kitchen, we meet, and we always introduce also one of them. So one of the cooks that has new idea, fresh ideas, and tomorrow we have a special cooking session again with Primož Dolničar, and he is preparing different food from fish and other sea products, and this is going to be very interesting because it is very difficult to serve fish actually to children in schools. And another thing that is very important for us, and we introduced that to the farmers, to the schools, kindergartens, and restaurants and hotels, is the food stock exchange. We managed to put together over 100 farmers and all the other stakeholders in one room. They started to talk each other, they started to present each other to each other, and they are making business. And we are very proud of that product as well, because we managed to put together not just the stakeholders that I mentioned, but we also managed to put together different parts of the municipality government. So Municipality of Ljubljana on one place, Tourism of Ljubljana on the another one, and Regional Development Agency, and it is a very great success. And 1 month ago there was another one, and people are feeling more and more comfortable and liking the idea. Our efforts didn't go unmentioned actually, or unnoticed. As already mentioned, we received the Special Mention Award in the Milan Urban Food Pact policy in 2017, and in 2018 our food exchange, stock exchange, was actually the best communication as responsible tourism. And as the last picture shows, you can see that this is our goal. So the people are in the landscape, the cultural landscape, getting the local products, going home, being happy, and consuming local food. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your very interesting presentation. I have a couple of questions. Actually, Lieta is asking, you mentioned if the city of Ljubljana to buy local for your school and canteens. Mm-hmm. For the moment, you mentioned that it was only in this little part that you managed to do outside of the Procurement Act.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. This is the question, no?
Yes. She asked it before you started to talk about your procurement, but maybe you want to expand a bit if you want to add something, because this is something that a lot of cities are trying to do to really manage to promote the local food for the public canteens. But these collide very much with the European laws of free market. So it's nice that a few way of going around this are being found.
Yes, it was a great discussion, actually, not just on the municipality level, but also on the national level, where first the ecological food was introduced to do that procurements, and then on the municipality level we decided to put it in the 20%, and we are pushing up to the higher percentage of the withdrawn food from the procurement. So I think that in future this percentage could also be higher.
Thank you very much. And then Ryan Green is asking two questions. First, he mentioned he loves the project, so congratulations. And then something that I know, again, something a lot of cities are working on is if there is an estimation of the carbon emission reduction that your city is doing thanks to this project. And this was one of the key questions, actually, of the working group food meeting of last week in Ghent. So are you putting together your CO2 emission reduction thanks to your food related projects?
Not yet, because we are, this is a very funny thing, but always in municipality of Ljubljana regarding the rural development, we always go from practice to theory. So now we are in the process of developing the practice. So, but eventually, of course, it would be very useful just to stimulate others to use the local food to also have this one, these measurements. But at the moment, we are not preoccupied with this one because we are more into the putting local producers and consumers together.
Yeah, I should also mention, as part of the Covenant of Mayors project, I wanted to do another webinar with the city of Frankfurt and Grenoble Metropole that indeed are trying to do this calculation of CO2 emission reduction thanks to their food policy. So maybe a topic for another webinar.
Yeah,
the second question, if you have also some targets on meat reduction, again, this is something that the link between sustainability and food policy, promote less consumption of meat. So
no, we don't have a special emphasis on that one, but fortunately or unfortunately, however you take it, the municipality of Ljubljana, we don't have the meat producers. We have the milk producers, we have the vegetable and fruit producers, but we don't have the big meat producers. This is why when we talk about the locally produced food, we always use just the vegetable and the fruit, and milk production, of course, milk products. So actually, not directly, but indirectly, we are talking about the vegetable on the plate.
Thank you very much. And then actually Ellie, our other speaker, is asking a bit more information about the path around farms and how it is organized. And who started the initiative, the farmers or the municipality?
It was actually the initiative was started one inhabitant, one resident of the apartment buildings over on the suburb of this area. And she said, I want to use local food, but I don't know how to approach the farmers. So she was the first one, and she went from one farm to another, and then she cooperated also with the NGO that is already working there, and then they created a meeting, a festival on the terrace of these apartment buildings, and they invited farmers, and then they created this path around the farmers, and now they are working closely together. So it was the initiative from the consumer, not the farmer.
That's great. It's very great to know that consumers are also very active.
Yes.
Maybe I don't have any more questions, but if any of you has maybe another couple of minutes for any last-minute question or remarks or something you would like to add, both Marushka or Eli, this is the time. Otherwise, oh yeah, someone is writing, so I'm waiting a couple more seconds to see if we have some last-minute question before we go for conclusion from Natalia. Yeah, still typing. Oh, so Diana is asking whether you have, as we know, a considerable amount of food waste is in the production phase. So maybe if you are thinking also of attaching the topic of food waste in your project.
In Ljubljana?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Not in this project, but we are trying also to find every time the cook or the food organizer in the schools and kindergartens that produce the lowest level of the waste. So they have also the opportunity to explain how are they doing. So we always pick those that are the most successful. But in the other project, we are trying also to build this chain of food waste and the compost production, and then back to the farmers for the food production. So this is something that we are now organizing within another project on the terms of circular economy in Ljubljana.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Eli, do you also have something to add?
Yes, in Oostende we are looking for a place for a food platform, and this is actually the bigger suppliers, bigger markets who have some spare food or which is expiring, will be collected and will be supplied to people who need it. And this is actually a social initiative. And for the moment, we're looking for a place where we can integrate it and perhaps do additional things, make it a sort of meeting point in the city center. So we are doing now from the urban planning side, we are looking where we can integrate this building. It's one of the parts is actually that it's in an existing building very close to the Antenne, the social house, which is on more or less in the city center. Another idea is to connect it with the gardens of Stena, because where you have the strip of the bigger commercial properties, you can perhaps also there is still some ground available. So we are from the urban planning side, we are thinking about it, and of course it should be further developed. But it's yes, we're making the first sketches, so to say.
Thank you very much. I should also mention that we did the 2 webinars on the topic of food waste. We heard from the example of Bruges, which also in Flanders, lots of good example coming from Belgium. And we also had another webinar just last month with the example from Turin and Rotterdam. So they are on our website and you can also go and look at them because also very, very interesting.
Thank you.
So maybe now I leave the word to, if there are no more questions, I leave the word to Natalia for some small conclusion before closing the webinar.
Yes, thank you very much to both the speakers for these very inspiring presentations. I think all of the participants had a lot of food for thought after such a detailed presentation of the project. Well, in both cases, I think we have seen how much the city can do with communicating, either with the citizen to co-design the public space, like in Oostende or like in Ljubljana, about the farmers and the accessibility to their products. So this is certainly a big leverage the cities have in order to implement some important changes in our food systems. And I would like to present you the next topic for the next webinars, which will be in September, because we will have now a summer break from our webinar series. And the next one will be on a very related topic, which is food production too. And we will have probably the participation of Uppsala and Copenhagen. And also I would like to invite you to follow our website on this. So you will be updated on the dates and on the hour of this webinar and on the following ones, obviously. And I would also like to mention then on the next slide that we will have the 5th annual gathering of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact that will take place in October in Montpellier in France. And the topic will be the MUFPP towards 2030, linked to the development goals and urban food systems. So I'd like to thank you very, very much for your participation and for exchanging. I think that's what we are seeking with this webinar, is exactly to share this knowledge and inspire you, and to show you exactly this creative and context-related solution that still have a great potential replicability potential, so that you can move forward as well in your own cities. So I'm very glad we had this interesting debate, and I hope to see you all in September for the next webinar. Thank you again for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.